1-800-409-5633. Or check it out on the web at efoodsdirect.com. Again, that number, 1-800-409-5633.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Okay, if you just joined us, or you're a longtime listener, you've seen the film I made 12 years ago, Annual Comprehensive Financial Reports Exposed, or you've seen the other presentations Walter's done since then, this is a fact, and it's now entered the political debate, thanks to Walter. I mean, he is the progenitor of this. Hidden in plain view. Just like I have the Washington Post from 2 days ago just reporting, oh, the CIA did make those fake bin Laden videos. Oh, they didn't make them for domestic political brainwashing to scare you into wars. They made it to discredit him in the Muslim world. They just admit it like it's no big deal because we've exposed it. They come out and admit, yeah, we're growing the opium in Afghanistan. And I know I keep hammering this point because it's so incredible. Well, it's the same thing with the comprehensive annual financial reports. I brought this up to politicians. I brought this up to Rick Perry. I brought this up to city managers. And folks, when you bring this up to them, and I've seen it done in a lot of meetings now in town halls, they'll be just ignoring everybody, and they don't care if you gripe about taxes being too high. They're ready for that. When you bring up, hey, you got a double set of books. You got 2, 3, 4, 5 times, sometimes more, investments that are off the books. These aren't, because people have built-in rationales. You know, you tell teachers or cops this, especially, and they'll go, well, that's for my pension fund, those government investments. No. They're now going to cut your pension funds on budget to pay back banks money that's not owed. Because here's the scam. I used to ask Walter this in the last 12 years. Is it the government taking over corporations, or is it the global corporations taking over government? And he said, well, basically it's a merger. But if you look at this now, and I agree with him, the big global offshore banks are now setting up their G20 world government, saying a world government run by banks. They've kind of double-crossed government by selling derivatives as the investments to the pension funds, public pension funds, cities, counties, water districts, universities. You've seen Harvard, losing half its endowment or whatever, to actually get them under their control. So it appears to be a coup, not just a merger. But to simplify this, remember about 6 months ago, Iceland was saying, no, we're not going to pay you this $800 billion or whatever you say we owe. And then the people rioted. They said no. They started arresting bankers. And the bankers said, we apologize. We've looked at our investment assets, government investment assets with us. We actually have a surplus. You don't have to pay any money anymore. So it turned out it wasn't oh my gosh, derivatives are a crisis. They were just threatening everyone through financial terror to do it. Now, again, for those that just joined us, recap, a commodity trading advisor on record in 1990 in New Jersey fighting tax increases. For the next 6-7 years, did research, did global discovery, global disclosure of the fact, and I didn't believe Walter when I interviewed him in 97. I didn't think he was a liar either. I went down to the state of Texas, got the comprehensive annual financial report, and it said that they had $500 billion in just liquid investment profit that year. I went and checked UT with its $40 billion then. Now it's $60+ billion. I went and checked Travis County with its $1 billion. I went and checked Manhattan, just like he said, it was over $1 trillion. I went and checked the state of New York. It was almost $1 trillion. I went and checked all these places, and guess what? They were online. They weren't even hiding this. Now, Walter, I'm going to completely shut up and give you the absolute floor now for the next few segments. Put it in layman's terms, how important this is, because you were trying to finish your point when we hit the break. When the politicians get up there and say, we got to get rid of the national park, the state park, we got to close your favorite park, they could just not mow the grass, but they want you to know it's closed. The fence is going up. You can't have potholes fixed. California's announcing we're not going to fix roads. We're going to lay off half the cops in this town. So that everybody...
That's a psychological play on the population. Yeah, as I mentioned, this is everything that is done, period. I don't care what it is done due to the money involved. And government has turned into a corporate, for-profit enterprise, utilizing the population as a productivity unit to be drained of value and their productivity. And, going back to the last break, I mentioned that, when someone called me, I'd always stop them and ask them if they knew how much cash they had in their pocket, what their checking account balance is, what their investment worth was, and their net worth, and everyone knew, without exception. One person that called, when they called me about their city, county, state, school district, complaining about tax increases, had a clue of what that entity's cash on hand, investment totals, or net worth was. An entire vacuum and void was created intentionally so in the comprehension of an entire population of the basics, which each and every one of us knows in our own personal lives since we're little kids. Up until when we die, we keep it in the back of our minds. And here, government is operating, having created this entire vacuum and void in every single venue for people not to even think about it, not to have a cognitive thought. So it is absolutely amazing they pulled that one off to be able to void out the basics that we carry with us each and every day. Now, on the derivative aspect, in 2008, keep in mind government on all levels, state, city, county, and so forth, were actively involved with the derivatives. And Pennsylvania is a pretty good CAPA report to look at for the state. On Note D, they list their derivative activity. And since I mentioned that, they started expanding their sections, making it harder to see. But if you look at an older report, Pennsylvania as a state was dealing in more derivatives than Merrill Lynch as a company did. And the derivative play, going back to 2000, Alan Greenspan, as quoted from the Wall Street Journal, said he was concerned about the $80 trillion a year derivative market internationally. Now, between 2000 and 2008, they had expanded the international derivative market up to $600 trillion. They were building this balloon, big balloon. But on derivatives, very important. 95% of the public doesn't comprehend this because it's never been discussed. On a derivative, all you're doing is buying time, 6 months, 5 months, a year, 2 years out, on a specific commodity or stock options and so forth, locking in a price at this time. So if the price changes, you can cancel out your trade and collect the equity difference. So if you think, say, gold is at $1,000 and you think it's going to drop down to 500, you could sell a gold contract. 6 months, 5 months later, it drops down to 500. You buy back a gold contract. That cancels out the trade, but you just collected $500. Or on a derivative contract, that would be about $50,000 made. And this is from the price going down, even though you may not even own 1 ounce. This is how the banks and the government accounts for controlling the metals market. They would massively sell the derivatives market, driving the price down, which the cash market was then dependent upon for pricing.
And that's now even come out on C-SPAN in federal hearings. They've now been caught. But I mean, the bottom line is the government is just bathing in our tax money that they have invested.
In 2008, they set up a sting operation. They knew the bubble was going to burst. And on derivative contracts, you can jump in there for 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days. And once you buy and sell, or sell and buy, whichever direction you're going in, and you close out your trade, you're out of the picture, and you walk with the cash if you made a profit. Well, being that this bubble was building on the housing market, government, and their specially managed accounts, I mean the large managed accounts, both domestic and international, government outsourced in the 80s, and they have management funds and Credit Suisse, Deutsche Bank, Millennium Fund 1, Millennium Fund 2, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars in each one of these accounts. And what they did was they position played and went heavily short all the stock indexes, both domestic and internationally, heavily long the dollar. They went long the dollar. They went heavily long the U.S. bonds, and they went heavily short the crude oil. Now, in the last 2-3 months of 2008, after these position plays were replaced, all of a sudden they start dumping their physical holdings in stocks, driving the market down. They heavily sold that crude oil more and more and more. Crude oil collapsed from $145 a barrel down to, at the bottom peak, $28 a barrel in the low trade. Okay, the stock index falls apart. The dollar jumped. Everyone's saying, "Oh, the dollar's going down to the floor." Yeah. I find that humorous. It went from 71 on the dollar index up to 89, which was in a month and a half, which was its quickest spike and run in the history of the dollar index on the upside. That was due to the factor as government had positioned on these positions They wanted to perpetuate the collapse, so they started selling their physical holdings, which meant the pension funds took a loss and everything else. Took a loss all across the country as they dumped on the market. But this perpetuated the collapse, and thus that guaranteed them a massive profit on their derivatives play.
And let me stop you.
Their cronies in the syndicated media now come out, oh, my God, this is terrible. Everyone's lost their money. Empires